of the Purple Rain podcast. Uh, Big one here. We're a couple of days away from Super Bowl. Couple of freaking days away. Season almost over, but 298. Kendra Shue in the Tony Saragusa episode. Anthony Weaver, Brandon Williams. How about Travis Jones episode of the Purple Rain podcast? Thank you for coming through and spending your Thursday evening with us or your Friday Eve, however you want to talk about it. We love you. We appreciate you. You can follow us on Instagram at the Purple Rain podcast. This guy right here, Instagram, X at Sutton Def. Me, Instagram at simplyas10.prod, X simplyas10, and most importantly, Manscaped. Not gonna lie, all right. I was sporting a beard about 2 weeks, all right, but last night got a little itchy. I don't know how you do it, Sutton. Gotta give you your props because it was just too much. Took the old Manscaped lawnmower. So you know what? It's time. A little this, a little that, and now we're here. It was beautiful. Very little mess. I feel good. But I feel even better to hear talk about some Ravens freaking football. It's been about 6 days, so I have to ask you, how have you been since the last time we talked?
Man, I've been good. I've been very good. I was telling you before we went on airs now, I kind of got, a reignited anger about the division loss to the Bills. Um just the fashion that we lost. This still here, of course, it's in our rearview mirror at this point, but it's just like I'm so sick and tired of the Ravens beating themselves. Again, I know I don't want to bring it back up. I know it's a sore spot for a lot of different people, of course, including myself, and I know Alex as well. But it's just like, damn, man, damn, we should be the ones playing on Sunday. That's how I'm feeling today. But other than that, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling pretty good. And you know what's actually also really good? Our guy Alex to come for a birthday. Big shout out to our guy Alex. Turned the big 2-6. Shout out to him. Appreciate you, man. As always, make sure you have a happy birthday to Alex or happy belated birthday to Alex down in the chat. We love him, man. We appreciate him as always. Let's see who we got here in the live chat room. Chris Swain, of course, says, yo, it's Chris. What's up, Rain Gang? What's going on, Chris? Appreciate you for coming through, popping out as you normally do. K-Dog in the house. Is Mod K-Dog to you. Says, yo, Rain Gang family. What's good on this Friday Eve? What's going on, K-Dog? Appreciate you for coming through as always. We got Edward George in the house as well. Says, much love, y'all. CJ West is someone I'd recommend to look at. Could be a sneaky pick in the draft. Okay, so Edward's already looking ahead, man. I tweeted it today on Twitter. I said, I still don't have the strength to start doing mock drafts and things like that yet. But trust me, trust and believe. We will have our good friend of the show from at Huddle It Up Films on the show to talk all things draft. We're going to break it all down with him on the show here soon. Shout out to Jason, by the way. K-Dog giving the shout out to Manscaped, as our guy Simply AS10 did to lead off the episode. Says PRP is sponsored by Manscaped. Code PRP, 20% on your entire order, plus the free international shipping. K-Dog also giving a shout out to the hashtag replay game. That's right. If you're watching this episode of the Purple Rain podcast, episode 298, damn, almost 300 episodes in of the show. If you're watching this after the fact and you're part of the hashtag replay game, first of all, hello. Thank you for joining the show. Make sure if you're watching as a part of the replay gang or the live Rain gang, make sure you like the video, guys. Like the video, subscribe to the channel as well. If you're watching on X, hello. Make sure you go to YouTube at some point and like the video, subscribe to the channel. We'd appreciate that. Let's see, continue scrolling here, see who we got in here. Love West, giving you the happy birthday. K-Dog, giving you the happy birthday as well. Yeah, man, lots of love in the chat. Let me see. KP in the house. What's going on? KP says, at least we get MV3 today. What he says, I'm leaving here with something. Hashtag I'm leaving here with something. I feel that. So the NFL honors is tonight. I did forget to mention that in the title. I believe it's 9 p.m. Eastern time. It comes on, or 8 or 9, one of the two. Okay. And tonight's the night where we find out whether or not Lamar Jackson wins his third MVP, or is the rug pulled from under him? And do they give it to a Josh Allen? Do they give it to a Saquon Barkley? I don't know. There could be some surprises we don't know as of yet. Let me see. He's hopefully at least also gives you a happy birthday shout as well.
Thank you. Yeah. I saw Lamar's odds move to like a slight favorite now, but the odds stuff is really stupid to me because this has been voted on for a couple of weeks now. I hope he wins it, but at the end of the day, to us Ravens fans, it's kind of low-key, just like a whatever award. We know what we want. But we're blessed to be in that position where we can say, if he doesn't win it, he has 2 of them, but that third one's a little bit sweeter. So I hope he wins it, with that being said.
Yeah, he wins too. If he doesn't win it and they do give it to Josh Allen, I mean, Twitter is going to be an absolute war zone. There's a lot
Yeah,
of Bills fans who will be absolutely insufferable in that app, and I don't know if I'll be able to stand that, to be honest with you. So hopefully Lamar Jackson does win his third MVP tonight. That would be awesome. Let me see. Edward George says I could see Barkley if not Lamar Jackson. I mean,
true.
if you want to give it to Barkley, I understand that too. Coming very close in the rushing record. If not, if he didn't sit out in that last regular season game, he probably would have. So I wouldn't be mad at that either. But Lamar Jackson, playoffs aside, of course, he has a spectacular, phenomenal regular season as he normally does. We re-signed Todd Monken. Contract extension for him becomes official as of a couple days ago. So I do expect for Lamar Jackson to kind of repeat his same offensive success he had from last year. Of course, Derrick Henry wants to run it back. We'll see who we have at pass catcher by the time the season starts. But man, NFL honors is tonight, and Super Bowl is
Yes.
this weekend. But we do have a couple other pieces of news that we have to get into, guys. We got to get into some other pieces of news, right? Let's just go ahead and hop right into it, right? Trade blocks, right? So
Mm,
now is the time of year where guys around the league, teams around the league, are putting guys on the chopping block, on the trading block, whatever you want to call it. Let's start with Miles Garrett, right?
yes.
Miles Garrett came out, I believe, earlier this week. Of course, Browns edge rusher, one of the best edge rushers in the game, one of the best edge rushers, arguably of all time, man. I mean, the guy is phenomenal. He's amazing. Absolute stud. He has requested out of Cleveland. Now, Alex, I want to get your take reaction to this. When you found out that Miles Garrett wants out of Cleveland, what was your initial reaction?
Man, I was jubilant. I don't want him in the AFC North anymore unless he is a Raven. Doubt that happens. But this guy, man, I mean, he always feels like he makes a play in at least one of the two games against us, if not both. And he's just one guy that you get tired of playing against. And unfortunately, as the Ravens fans that we are, we get to play him 2 times a year, TJ Watt 2 times a year, Trey Hendrickson 2 times a year. So if we can get him out of this division, I'd be all just over the moon about it. But obviously Ravens fans are kind of mulling that possibility of him being a Raven, and it's not going to happen. I don't want to burst anybody's bubble. I doubt the Browns sent him to us. Wishful thinking, but the fact that he's come out like it's going to show you a lot of these guys now. They've made the money, they've played the ball. It's now time for a ring. And there's only a couple teams I think on each side where you can say they're a Super Bowl contender, and thankfully we're one of them. So if some guys in the NFC want to request some trades, maybe I see Micah Parsons shout, I'd be cool with that. But I think he's I think he goes anywhere. I see Commanders are in play a team like that. They said the Eagles somehow they don't afford him, they make a way, but I think they trade him to NFC if anything, if they trade him.
Yeah, I could totally do that as well. And, my knee jerk reaction to finding out that Miles Garrett was on the trading block, or he puts himself on the trading block since he requested, was that, the Ravens should do whatever in their power to go out and get that guy because we've said it, both you and I have said it for a long time. Like, there's a couple of different key positions, right, that this Ravens team has been missing over the past couple of seasons that would really round out this team and make them an unstoppable force, a true unstoppable force. One of those is a big body wide receiver, which we'll talk about that in a little bit. But the other one is a game wrecking edge rusher. That's exactly what Miles Garrett is. So again, my knee jerk reaction to it was like, hey, I don't care what you got to do, package those picks, maybe even throw a competent player as well. Go get Miles Garrett, bring him to Baltimore, and let him wreak havoc on the rest of the league. And with that defense. So, but after further review, I kind of calmed down from that after like 10 minutes, and I was thinking to myself like, the Browns would never. And I know they've done some dumb things in the past, right? And I want to bring all those things, right? But the Browns would never, in their right mind, give Miles Garrett away to another AFC North opponent, let alone the Baltimore Ravens, the AFC North champions from this past season. So, and if they did want hell of a premium that Eric DeCosta would never agree to. You know what I mean? And that would look like probably what multiple first round picks. You know, probably looking at like a grade A starter. You know, things like that. The things that Eric DeCosta, the Ravens, would just never agree to. I don't see the Ravens aligning with the Browns on a trade like that at all. So I do agree with you. I do think that they'll probably end up shipping him out of the AFC. The Cowboys is a destination. I think he also said in an interview, or at least I saw this online, he said like the 49ers, of course, those like you mentioned. Another team was the Commanders, and Edward George talks about it here. I think that if there is something that the most likely destination, you know, I think would be the Commanders. They're under new ownership. They're coming off of a season where nobody expected them to the NFC Championship, but they did, you know, and they're literally in a phase right now where you reload a little bit, you get a couple key pieces, and you're back in the NFC Championship. But this time, you have a legitimate shot, right? We saw in the NFC Championship game how the Eagles were just kind of leaps, in bounds above them. There were levels above them, right? It wasn't really much of a competition. I think Miles kind of evens that playing field a little bit in the NFC East and in the NFC in general. And I think that that would be a really good move for them. They have hella cap space to make the deal happen. So that would be a really really good move for the Commanders. And all Commanders fans, friends, they love the idea of it and they think it's very realistic as well. So yeah, that's what I think about Miles Garrett. And the good thing is he'll be out of the AFC, right?
Yeah, and that's what I hate that it has to be like that because we do want him, but we would have to play him 3 times a year. And with that being said, now like with the Ravens, as a fans, like look at the Browns. That's their best player. He's been their best player for how many years? Even when Odell was there, even when Baker was firing in 2018, Miles Garrett has always been their best player, in my opinion. When they had Jarvis Landry, it's been Garrett. He keeps the coordinators up at night, linemen up at night. So now you lose him. Not saying it's easy to play them, but an X factor is out your division. You don't have to plan that much. So I'm just thinking, how many other guys are gonna, hand in that trade request, and not to go off of him, but you look at a guy like Cooper Kupp now who didn't want to get traded, but now the Rams are shopping him, and I'm just wondering how many more it's going to be because we're February 6th, all right, and Super Bowl hasn't happened. You have arguably, I'm not here to debate, arguably the best edge rush in the league and a Super Bowl MVP on the trade block. You know, I can't remember a time like this before the Super Bowl where guys are possibly flying off this early. It's crazy. I love it though. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. And not to mention, I mean, the news about trades has been going crazy across leagues, right? It's not just the NFL. I mean, you got NBA. NBA has been going, and not to go off on too much of a tangent here, but of course, I don't think we've talked since Luka Doncic traded to the LA Lakers. Of course, we saw Jimmy Butler just last night going to the Golden State Warriors. Just craziness, madness all around, So I'm loving it. It makes for great, talking points and conversations and things like that. But what are some of your thoughts on just kind of the trade going on across multiple leagues?
I thought the Luka trade was fake. I'm laying in bed Saturday night, about to go to sleep, and I see somebody say, "OMG, there's no way this is real." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Go on there, I see
Yeah,
the Shams tweet. I'm like, what? I'm like, okay, like somebody finally hacked an insider and did something funny than of just tweeting out some random nonsense. And they got
yeah,
me. And then I saw, this is for real. I'm like, I still didn't believe it, because anybody can say that. And then when you start seeing other stuff come out, like from other, beat writers, I'm like, wow, like what just happened? And not the biggest basketball fan, but that had me shocked, like jaw before shocked. Wasn't expecting that.
yeah. I mean, me too. Me too, man. I mean, I saw it. I was laying in bed, and I saw the Shams tweet come through, and I thought he might have gotten hacked for a hot minute there, and then I saw multiple other outlets reposting the same thing, and I was like, okay, no, this is for real, and I didn't automatically think like, oh, Lakers to the championship because they're very much lacking on defense, especially with the departure of Anthony Davis. They did just pick up a center from the Hornets last night, which is supposed to help their defense. So we'll see how that kind of pans out for them. Again, not to go on too much of a tangent about NBA stuff right now, but that was just an all time trade. And one of the funniest things that I saw about that whole situation that somebody did was hilarious. They said, "How are the Lakers going to build around LeBron once Luca retires?" That was just so funny to
Yeah,
me because it's just like
true.
it's just Bron. He's like a Tom Brady. You never know when this guy's going to retire because it just doesn't seem like he's going to really slow down at any point. I mean, he just had a triple double. I want to say last, and the guy is the guy is amazing. He's phenomenal, right? So and he's in the streets now, which is crazy. So Love says here. Could you imagine waking up seeing Lamar has been traded for Matthew Stafford in the first round pick? Dallas fans are in shambles. Yeah, I mean, because people were making questions like, "Oh, put this in NFL terms," and some
Yeah.
people were imagining, if you traded Lamar Jackson for Matthew Stafford in the first round pick, I would be out of my gourd. Like we would have to do like an emergency podcast, all of that. Like it would be crazy.
Yeah.
Um,
You'd
and
see
yeah,
me
yeah.
like
Luckily,
12:30 at night,
yeah.
hair like this hair that was all out here. Like I would probably look like I just got out of bed, literally and figuratively. It wouldn't have been good if we were to trade him. And I love like the non fans of like the sport saying, "Oh, put this in this and this terms," and like you see some stuff and like I think the best one I saw was like Lamar for Dak and like something else, and I was like, that's a good one. Lamar for
That's
Stafford too.
what I said.
That's a good one. I think those both are good. I mean, Dallas fans, man, it ain't looking good football wise. You might see your biggest rival, win a Lombardi on Sunday. You just had your franchise player traded. With that being said, I think the Mavericks will still be good, but it just sucks that you're letting your 25-year-old franchise player go. It's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. Man. I mean, Luka Doncic, generational player. I mean, I think he's supposed to make his debut on Saturday against the Indiana Pacers. I
Mm,
watch the game. I will not be watching the flag football game that the NFL is putting on at 8 p.m. I want to say, whether it's what team Cincinnati versus team I Show Speed or something like that, and you've got all the celebrities and whatnot. I feel like they do this every year though. They normally do it at the Pro Bowl, right?
I don't even remember this last year. Maybe I mean there was the one video of Drewski running, but like just some of the people they have out there. Uh, I think Kai's team is. If I could take an alternate spread, I'm taking Kai's team by like 4 touchdowns. Just seeing who they have compared to the other team, like just they have. I don't know, man. Like Shador on that team, and then what? Vic, I believe, a
Yeah.
quarterback. Yeah, Vic
Yep.
throwing
Yep.
and
Yep.
running against. Yeah, give me Kai's team by 4 touchdowns. Easy,
Yeah, I
hammer.
think the other team is. I think Speed's team has got like Sexy Red and like and like
Yeah,
um some
yeah,
other not so athletic folks. I would say.
yeah,
And then Drewski's supposed to be the ref. Yeah, it'll probably be entertaining, right?
yeah.
I'm not gonna watch it, right? But I will see the clips on Twitter, TikTok. I'm sure somebody's gonna clip it up and post like the highlights of it, the funniest moments, whatever. So I'll probably watch it there. But like I said, instead of watching that, I'm actually gonna tune into the Lakers and the Pacers to see LeBron and Luca and what they look like at duo on the court for the first time. That's gonna be really really cool to watch for sure. Um, but yeah, moving right along here. Let's go ahead and hop back into the talks about football. And you mentioned Cooper Cup.
Yes.
Cooper Cup, a name that has been in the news because the Rams have come and publicly stated that they will be trading Cooper Cup and they want to get it done as soon as possible. I know they want to get it done before June 1st so they don't have to eat as much dead money in cap space. So, as a Ravens fan, Alex, how would you feel about the Ravens pursuing Cooper Cup? Do you think that is a necessary move? Do you think that it's kind of just like a luxury piece that we could just kind of add on? Do you want him on the team? Not want him on the team since he's available? What are you thinking?
I mean, it would be cool, but that price, that 20 mil, it hurts, man. That 20 mil is kind of hurting me. And like we say, availability is the best ability, and he, has had his soft tissue I words in recent memory. Great route runner, fantastic hands. But if the price was right, I would. But just that contract has got to go down, and I feel like we can put those assets elsewhere. But yeah, man, I'm gonna have to. If we're talking about for his actual contract, I'm gonna have to pass. And it pains me to say that because I do like me some Cooper Cup, but the money, man, money talks.
I agree. I agree. The I words is the biggest thing for me, and it's funny because the Rams actually also said that they're willing to, pay some of his contract just to get him out of there. I think it would be like a $20 million cap hit, which is just absolutely ludicrous. The Ravens cannot afford to do that at all by any stretch of the imagination. They can't take that on. But if Eric DaCosta was able to, work with the Rams and figure something out to the point where, you get Cooper Cup on a team friendly deal, I would not mind it. I mean, we're talking about a 6'2" veteran with reliable hands. Obviously he's not going to be asked to do too much in this Ravens offense because we're not as pass centric as a Rams team is. More run centric. So all we would really need him for is kind of like those big spots, third downs where guys are really covering the likes of Mark Andrews, knock on wood again, Isaiah Likely, Zay Flowers, Shaw Bateman, guys like that. And you can kind of have Cooper Cup, who I think would definitely be an upgrade in that slot over Nelson Aguilar. I definitely think he'd be an upgrade there. I think he would also be a mentor to Zay Flowers as well. We've seen Cooper Cup perform big in playoff spots too.
Mm.
We've seen him bring games home for the Rams, and like time and time again, this guy didn't he win the Triple Crown the other year as well?
Yeah, he did. He did.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is a guy you got the numbers on screen, his numbers from this past season. The guy still got some gas left in the tank, if you ask me. So if Costa, again, if EDC can make something happen to where this cap hit is team friendly, I am team Cup. I say bring him
Okay.
in. I say work him in the offense. I mean, he's a guy who I think can get open. Again, reliable hands. We don't really have to worry about the drops too much. And again, we're not going to be running him all the time. We're not going to ask him to do too much because we're a run first offense. So I'm with it. I'm with it, me personally. So that's Cooper Cup. I think that, man, it wouldn't be a bad move. It would not be a bad move. But I see what you're saying. I completely understand.
Yeah, and like I said, I'd be with it too if the money is right. It just worries me because there are bigger holes in the team, but if there's a guy that can obviously improve us, like Cup can, like Super Bowl MVP for a reason. What is it? Third in the game, third and one, and third and goal, whatever. Stafford finds Cup for the touchdown,
Hmm.
which ultimately gives the Rams Super Bowl. Hell yeah! I mean, we need that, and we saw drops hurt us in the playoffs, no matter what. In the big games, and Deshaun says I really like DK Metcalf over the Rams receiver Cooper Cup. Um, Hell yeah! If you gave me the chance to sign or trade for DK Zacarias Metcalf, I'm on it. Like I'm getting the jersey printed the day like the second we trade for him, if that were to happen. I'm going with Fanatics. 14 Metcalf in purple probably. I would love to have him. A guy who is healthy damn near all the time, big body. I mean, he's the epitome of everything we haven't had in a while, and I would take it in a heartbeat.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know exactly what DK Metcalf's cap situation is looking like right now, his contract. But that is definitely a guy who, if it was feasible, I would love to have him in the castle because Eric DaCosta said earlier this week in an interview, I think he was on Radio Row interviewing with somebody, before the Super Bowl, and he said that the one piece that we've been kind of missing in terms of like building around Lamar Jackson is that big body X wide receiver, and that's exactly what you said DeKalin Zacarias Metcalf would be for this Baltimore Ravens team. And you talk about blocking, you talk about again red zone threat. This guy would be an absolute force on this team. I would love to see it happen. Um, See, Deshaun also says here we can get more out of B Metcalf. I agree with that too. It will make a lot of sense. It will make a lot of sense. Are the Seahawks willing to move off of him? Is that a thing? I haven't heard about that.
I don't think so. So his cap hit this year is 31 mil. Um,
Oof.
they can void it. So he's 28. They can void, so they can let him go next year and get a 7 mil cap hit. So let's say this is his final year. So next year is a void year. So he is on his final year. So you could always trade for him and give him an extension. I mean, you get the guy under 30, which is something that I would like us to do. I don't know if they would, trade him. Maybe unless he doesn't want to play with Gino anymore, he could request a trade. But the Seahawks, man, there's a lot left to be desired. They do have the coach, I think. Missed out on the playoffs, but I guess you have to see what they're going to do in the offseason. I mean, if we're talking about NFC contenders, where are the Seahawks? Are they top five? I'm going wild card team.
I mean, wild card at best. I mean, I think year two, Mike McDonald, but they actually started off pretty good in this past season. Kind of had a little rocky middle of the season, and then I want to say they finished a little bit stronger than a lot of people imagined. But I think that they're gonna be decent next season. They need to make a switch at quarterback. I'll stand by that. I agree with you. I don't think that Day wants to necessarily play with Geno Smith. Just like I don't think that, of course, Miles Garrett doesn't want to die on a Cleveland Browns roster. Guys will compete for championships. They want to compete for championships. I know that DK has had a little baby problem with drops. In the past, I think that he can clean that up, and he comes here. I think he would be an awesome addition to this Baltimore Ravens team. However, let me say this: I also think that whether it be Cooper Cup, whether it be DK Metcalf, I don't think that is necessarily necessary, right? All these guys that we're talking about, I think are luxury pieces for the Baltimore Ravens. At the end of the day, we just witnessed Lamar Jackson walk down the Bills with the likes of Tylen Wallace, right? With the likes of without his two best wide receivers on the field. If you give Lamar Jackson more short fields, right? So I'm looking at the defense here. If you turn the football over more often, it really doesn't matter. We can save that money on offense. We can save on all if the defense just actually steps up, creates
Yeah.
turnovers, especially in the postseason. That's where I'm at with it. I would love to have big body wide receiver like DK Metcalf. I would love to have a sure hands guy, veteran like Cooper Cup. I would, for the right price, of course. But all of these guys are luxuries, luxury pieces at the end of the day. The defense has
Yeah.
to force turnovers to give Lamar Jackson short fields. We're about middle of the pack this season in forced turnovers. I want to say it was 12th in the league. We got to be better than that. We got a top 10. You know, um, that's really all it is. You got an MVP quarterback, maybe get to win his third one tonight. Give this guy more opportunities. Give this guy better opportunities. Make it easier on him. Like take some of the load off of Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson already has pieces. He has a Derrick Henry. He has a Mark Andrews. He has an Isaiah Likely, a Zay Flowers, a Rashad Bateman who's coming off the best season of his life. You know, I'm good with what we got. At the end of the day, all these guys will be luxury pieces. The defense needs to step up. What do you think?
Yeah. I think of the games we blow out really good teams, the Niners on Christmas. I thought think about that. How many picks did we have? Three. We have
Turnovers.
five. I think we have five picks that game. Two from Hamilton. Queen had one. Um, Marlin had one. Marcus Williams had one. We had five picks that game. You know, that's why we blow these. Like we need more. I want to say more playmakers. We need that ball hawk back there, somebody who can force a fumble. Because I'm not, don't do the if buts or maybe game, but you stop the Bills on one of them drives, get a turnover, 7 point swing right there. And you look at our turnovers, they scored off them. The Lamar fumble, interception, the Andrews, fumble, they
Yeah.
scored off of them. That unfortunately was the difference in the game. So I can definitely get behind that. Uh, I think if we're going to be honest, there will be some turnaround. Marcus Williams won't be back on this team. I cannot see a situation where Brandon Stevens is back on this team. So if that
Right.
lets Nate Wiggins slot in there, who hopefully he gets his hands on there, gets them better, can get a couple more picks, and who knows what we'll do with that third corner. That could maybe get the turnover rate up, but there does need to be uh, a focus on getting that turnover number up, and I'm 1,000,000% behind that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, 100%, man. That's really all it boils down to me. And you get some recent hires from the Ravens, bringing in a Chuck Pagano, right? Bringing in a Tyler Santucci, right? These
Mm,
guys have been, not like I don't want to say known for creating turnovers, but that's when you do the research on these guys, that's something that they've been able to produce with their defenses that have been a part of. So that seems to be a big part of emphasis for this Baltimore Ravens team, and rightfully so, because when you have a quarterback as good as Lamar Jackson, you give him short fields, you're going to win a lot of games, right? You're going to win those games running away. Like you mentioned, the 49ers game last year, turnovers are just, they're everything. And I think that that's going to be the catalyst in this upcoming Super Bowl as well. I think whichever team wins the turnover battle is going to win this game. And we're going to talk about the Super Bowl here in a second, kind of previewing that matchup. But just to kind of round it out here about the Ravens talk, the trade talks, and things like that. I'm really looking at, and I'm sure Eric DeCosta is looking at the draft as well. This year more than ever, shore up those holes. You know, offensive line, edge rusher. Those are probably the top two positions right now. As of right now, you might disagree with me, Alex, but those are my top two positions right now going into this draft in order to shore up this roster a little bit more. Edge rusher is probably the biggest one. We need a guy who's going to be able to consistently speed up the quarterback's clock. We need a guy who's going to be consistently knocking the quarterback off of his spot, making him make mistakes, making him throw to guys like Kyle Hamilton, guys like Nate Wiggins, who I think is going to take a big step up in his second year, Marlon Humphrey, guys like that. So, but let me ask you this before we move on to the Super Bowl talks. And Rain Gang, if you're in the chat right now, if you're listening, first of all, hello. Thank you guys for joining episode 298 PRP. What are the top two positions that you think that the Ravens should go after in the draft, right? So first round, second round, what
Yeah.
are the two positions?
I do want to say this real quick. They interviewed Derrick Henry
Sure.
on the red carpet. He said he wants to retire a Raven, so that's pretty cool. King Henry wants to stay
Ooh,
in Baltimore. Yeah. Um, just want to get that out there.
I love
But
that.
I
Yeah.
think edge has to be up there. And, to me, it depends what we do free agency, but I'm looking at that line. I can't have 77 out there again, unfortunately. And I need to know what we're doing with our tackle position. I need to know who's going to have my quarterback's blind side. Is it going to be Ronnie Stanley or is it going to be Roger Rosengard? Switching to left tackle. Okay, well, who's going to be right tackle? Um, that line 100%. So I'm going to go probably edge and line, and then I'm right behind that DB. It's just, but yes, for my two. So I'll go, honestly, line then edge because I trust us to draft the right lineman over the right edge rusher, if that makes sense. Because there's a lot of
Yeah,
potential
yeah.
waiting on some guys who I don't think are going to show it edge wise. I don't want to be negative, but I trust us more with linemen.
I got you. That makes sense. That makes sense. If we were to go out and get a Miles Garrett, then I would definitely feel that way. But for me, again, man, because I do think that Roger Rosengarten is flew over to left tackle and he's going to protect Lamar Jackson's blind side going into the future because that's what he did at Washington, protecting Michael Penix's blind side. So he's used to talk about that publicly, like he's ready for that challenge, you know. So I do expect that the Ravens they shift him over on that side. With that being said, that's why I would really want the Ravens to go out and just draft that first round edge talent again, man. I mean, I know we haven't done it since Oweh a couple seasons ago. He hasn't really panned out to be the true game wrecking edge that we would want him to be. He shows spots here and there. Again, having a 10+ sack season out to him, he's a great athlete, but he just doesn't have the same prowess that a Miles Garrett, that a TJ Watt, Ray Hendrick, all guys in the AFC North have. You know, so it's just if it's me, I'm gonna go edge first. I'm gonna go edge first to see a lot of guys talking about guys like Pierre, some other guys as well who we could possibly snag at that 27th pick. But I got to go edge, man. You got to keep swinging there because if you get a guy on the edge who can really get after the quarterback, man, your defense is going to be turned all the way up, especially with that secondary. It's going to take so much pressure off of secondary too. And going into the second year of Zach Orr's tenure as defensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens, I think we're going to take a huge step forward in terms of start fast on defense. That's a big thing for me. We started so slow this year on defense because we were, going through the growing pains with Zach Orr, going through the growing pains of figuring out, okay, do we want Kyle Hamilton to play closer in the box? Do we want him deep safety? Do we want Eddie Jackson back there? Marcus Williams, what are we doing with him? All that stuff, right? I think we're going to start fast on defense, and I think a big part of that should be getting in an edge rusher in the first round. So I'm going to go edge and then line because, again, I do expect that Ronnie Stanley is probably gone. I don't see him. I don't see us repaying him again. I do see Roger Rosengard and the young talent going over to that left tackle spot, and in free agency or something like that, we go out and we get another right tackle, or they just kind of plug and play somebody over there. So yeah, again, we're not going to do a deep dive on draft talk just yet because it's not quite that time of season yet. We do have one final game to cover, but before we get into that, I want to see what you guys are saying here in the chat. We got a guy Dre in the building. Says, "What's up, Purple Rain Gang? What's going on? Dre, appreciate you for pulling up, coming through this episode 298 of PRP. Make sure you guys like the video, like the video, leave a thumbs up on it, subscribe to the channel as well. My name is that simply AS10 right over there. We are the Purple Rain Podcast. Deshaun86 says the guy I want in the second round. He's 6'6", weighs 348. Okay, big boys, big boys. Let me see if Mike Green somehow falls to us at 27. We would take him. I'm tired of these old defensive tackles who cannot stay healthy, says Deshaun. You guys are dropping some names down here. Slice59 says, I think we are fine offensively. This defense is not aggressive enough for me. They need to be coached up to take the ball away. That's what we brought in Chuck Pagano. That's kind of what he's here for. I mean, I know he's the senior DB coach, but he's going to have hands in a lot of different things, if I had to imagine, right? Him and Harbaugh are very close. They have a history together. I think that Harbaugh's going to give him kind of the green light. Okay, go over there, talk to Zach Orr, coach him up, coach up the guys with Zach Orr, and make this a more turnover focused defense, right? It's not enough for guys to be flying around all over the place. It's not enough to have Kyle Hamilton on the deep half of the field at safety. We got to get guys. We got to turn the ball over on these teams because that's how you win games. You get extra possessions, you win games, and again, you win them going away. So, again, that's why they got Chuck Pagano.
Yeah, you can never have enough good football minds on this team, and just adding him is one of the
Facts.
best out there, which is still crazy to even think he's back with us. And I don't want to sit here and overrate it or think about what he is going to do because we really don't know. But I would hope it will be an emphasis on getting your hands on that ball more and forcing more turnovers because that's really what was missing. The way I was playing the second half of the year, yeah, but we wanted more of those turnovers that we just didn't get, and especially when the lights shine brightest, that we need to show up theirs. And even look at our Super Bowl runs or our playoff runs, there was always turnovers that helped us out. You can go to any game, you can probably find them there. So if he can do that, it'll be worth it. Why you bring him in?
Yeah. Yeah, man. Absolutely. Okay. So let's go ahead and shift gears here. Let's go ahead and talk about the last game of the season. It's coming up on Sunday. It's 30 p.m. Eastern time. The Super Bowl, right? The Chiefs are taking on the Eagles in a rematch of Super Bowl 57 here in Super Bowl 59 in 2025. Excuse me. This is going to be, I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be a good game. Do we see some BS penalties here and there? Do we see some controversial calls, things like that? I'm sure we will at some point. Just kind of the game at this point, and we kind of have to accept it. But Alex, I know you're not really feeling this game all too much, but give me some of your early predictions on how this one pans out. Chiefs versus Eagles Super Bowl. And chat, let us know how you're feeling about this game up as well.
I have a very, very, very bad feeling that the one guy who doesn't look like he can be stopped all year is unfortunately stopped in the biggest game of his career, and that's Saquon Barkley. I just have a very bad feeling that believe me, I want the Eagles to win. All right, I just know that good coach teams, maybe it's because we see with the Ravens, like in the biggest games possible, our guys don't, we think this guy's gonna do this and he doesn't, but for the Eagles to win, man, you got to rely on him, and you need that line to open up space. And it's, honestly, how healthy is the Eagles line? I know they had guys banged up, but in the what was it? Championship game was Deron Payne wasn't playing, and that's
Right.
huge for
Yeah.
the Commanders. And now you got Chris Jones, and they have some studs up there. I do think Mahomes is going to make his magic in the Super Bowl. It really pains me to say this. It pains me. I think the Chiefs win on just some last second field goal, just some kind of how they've been doing it all year, winning tight games, not making mistakes when they have to. And unfortunately, they three-peat and the world suffers.
Well, here's the thing. You mentioned Saquon Barkley. You don't think that Saquon Barkley is going to get off in this game.
I hope he does.
So would you say if you had to bet, right? Are we thinking Saquon Barkley gets over or under 18 carries?
I'm gonna go over. I'm gonna go over for sure. I think it's because of the type of game it'll be. Believe me, I want him to get off, but it's just like the Chiefs know how to neutralize a team's opponent in these types of games, man. They just know how to stop them, and that's what makes them so good. I'm jealous of it as a Ravens fan. They really do a great job of neutralizing other teams' X factor. First game, obviously, Derrick Henry didn't get off what he wanted with us, and we can blame that on the first game. But it's facts are facts. I don't know what 40-some yards, 50-some yards. Then he goes and pops off for 100 game after game after game. And that line, what is it? Landon Dickerson, left guard. Is he going to be healthy? And then the center situation that was going on last week. But I do want to give their props though. Signing Mekhi Becton as a right guard did wonders for him, and that's kind of the signings I want the Ravens to make. Get a guy on a 1-year deal, prove it deal, see what he can do. It's worked out great for them, and then their defensive line as well. I know there's been the whole illness going around. They're all going to play. You're not fooling me. Jalen Carter, he'll be fine.
For sure.
All those guys, they're not missing this game. Don't give me any of that, man. But yeah, as much as I want the
Yeah.
Eagles to win, I just feel like the Chiefs pulled out in a really, really close one.
I mean, and I totally see that as well. I think that I tweeted it publicly on my Twitter at Sudden Death. You can follow me. I've said it multiple times. I think you should post on the Chiefs in this one. It's just you just know how these games tend to play out, right? I don't see because if the Eagles want even an outside shot at winning, and I'll flip the screen here to show the Eagles on defense and the Chiefs on offense, but if the Eagles want an outside shot at winning, they have to dominate up front at the line of scrimmage and get after Patrick Mahomes, kind of in a similar fashion to how the Tampa Bay Buccaneers did it a few years ago when they beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. So, like I said, I'll switch the view that we're looking at here, and shout out to PFF
Hmm.
for having these lines posted like this. But the one matchup that I'm really looking at right here that I'm circling is this right tackle position between Johnson and Chris Jones, right? Uh, that is going to be a hell of a matchup. As we know, Chris Jones is a phenomenal player on the defensive line for the Chiefs. Lane Johnson is a stud for the Eagles as well. So that's going to be a war of attrition all night. Of course, Mekhi Becton helping out on the middle there, but then you also got George Karlaftis over there on that Chiefs defensive side as well. He's a stud. But I think that this game is really, really going to come down to Saquon Barkley and how he fares running by guys like Drew Tranquil and Nick
Hmm.
Bolton. It's going to be a huge game for those guys. A huge game. Can they get that on the ground? Because he will get into open space, right? Can you limit his big runs? We saw not last week, 2 weeks ago, the Commanders, what was it, first play of the game? Saquon just
Hmm.
takes off, right? You cannot allow that to happen. If he breaks the game open like that, the Eagles have a very good shot at, at least making it close. At least making it very, very close, right? If not pulling it off and actually going on to game. So that's what it's really going to come down to me. Can these Chiefs linebackers get Saquon on the ground before he breaks off, these 20 to 40 and 50-yard touchdown runs? I mean, the guy's breaking off big runs damn near every week, it seems like. Every week. That's why he almost had the rushing title in the regular season. So that's going to be a very, very big point of emphasis for me in this one. Outside of that, I think that Jalen Hurts running the football is going to be another big piece of the Eagles game. If I had to guess, I'm a betting man and I had to bet on. As a matter of fact, let me ask you this: do you think
Hmm.
Jalen Hurts gets over 25 rushing yards in this one?
Yes. Yeah, I do.
Hmm.
I think there's gonna be a lot of emphasis, obviously, on the receivers, and I think Dallas Goedert has stepped up in these playoffs, and maybe
Yes.
somebody gets lost. And I think of, listen, I'm not comparing at all. I like Hurts. I love Lamar. I saw what Lamar did to the Chiefs, and he put up a good amount of rushing yards. I think Hurts clears at 25 yards, maybe in the first half. Broken play, and there's gonna be so much emphasis on Saquon as well with these fakes, man. Like he's a different running back compared to Henry. Henry's more of a power guy who has that speed, but Saquon, we see he can break that speed off. He doesn't have to get that head start, man. He can just break it off. So if I were a betting man,
Yeah.
which I sometimes am, I would definitely take the Hurts 25 plus rushing yards, 100%, right there with you.
That's a lock.
I think it is a lock. I really do think it. And you know what? I'm gonna tell you another lock.
Oh.
When the Chiefs ultimately go down by 7 or 10, take their money line. Just go ahead and take it because you know it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
You know it's gonna happen.
That what plus 225 is going to be juicy, man. I'm telling you.
Yep.
I'm
Yep.
telling you. What
Yeah.
mid third quarter, late third quarter when they're down, like you said, a possession, two, especially if it's only 10 points. Yeah, man. I'm
Take
taking
that.
that. I
Take it.
would take it. I'm in Texas. I can't bet. So for all you guys who can, I would take that money line, that live bet for sure. Make sure you stay tuned in to your local sports book. But okay, let's go ahead and shift gears and see the Chiefs on offense here and see how they stack up against the the Eagles defense. So let's see, go same unit. So we got Eagles nickel versus Chiefs 11 personnel with three wide receivers on the field. So we're matched up evenly here. Looking at this defensive line, you mentioned Jalen Carter, the sickness, right? Like what is that going to look like? Apparently it's spreading around the locker
Yeah.
room, which is not necessarily good to hear. I do expect all of them to play because, if it's not a torn ACL fresh off of the bone, these guys are going to be out there in New
Yeah.
Orleans on Sunday playing, in the biggest game of their life, right? So looking at what we got here, what are some of the kind of what are some locks? Again, like what are some
I
locks?
mean,
Like what do you really think is going to happen with this Chiefs offense?
dude, look at that offense, by the way. Like, it just is not impressive to me. Yet they are back here again.
Mm,
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna
talk
say it's
about it. Yeah.
mid, but it's a little bit above mid. It ain't the best. I mean, Creed Humphrey is freaking, best center in the league. I'm not mad to say that. We know Joe Tooney is, but look at the rest of that. I mean, it's unbelievable. And then if we're talking about locks, I think Kelsey's going to have a game. He was pretty quiet in recent. I mean, like last Super Bowl, he had a couple of catches. Didn't have a touchdown. I do think he scores a touchdown this Super Bowl. It makes way too much sense. I'm thinking script wise. I got to think with my head, unfortunately, right now. I think he's going to have a touchdown. But receiving wise,
Yeah.
maybe worthy catches. I don't know who's going to show up because Sky Moore had the game-winning touchdown last time these two guys played each other. Who is it this time? Is it going to be their fourth or fifth string
Yeah.
guy? It's going to be D Hop's not even on the field right now. I saw D Hop's odds are plus 600 for anytime touchdown. A guy like him who's been waiting his whole career to play in this game, I wouldn't be mad if he sprinkles something on that. Now looking at their defense,
plus 600. Oh yeah,
yeah. I'm looking at the Eagles defense, man. It's what great drafting looks like. I mean, Cooper DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell. Then you go out and sign a guy like Zach Bond on a very team-friendly deal. Like, Howie Roseman, I just got to applaud you for what you've done putting this team together because he's done it perfectly. You got to get the number one rated linebacker, according to PFF, in free agency. Hats off to you. The D-line, homegrown, it's unbelievable, man. Kudos to them, really. It's mesmerizing.
Yeah, and you mentioned Travis Kelce. I think that Zach Bond versus Travis Kelce in coverage is going to be a huge matchup in this one as well because you look across the board, again, like you said, I mean, this Chiefs offense, especially the pass catchers right now, I mean, when we see Hollywood Brown on there on the outside, Xavier Worthy, Juju Smith-Schuster as well, who's been here before too, by the way. It doesn't really seem like they have any real game breakers out there. I mean, Xavier Worthy, I know he had a big game in the AFC Championship game against Bills, but this Eagles defense is a little bit different, a lot of it different than the Bills defense, I would say. So across the board, looking at it, if I didn't know anything about football, right, and I was just kind of looking at these numbers and these ranges and things like that, I would think, oh yeah, absolutely. This Eagles defense really stacks well against this Chiefs offense, but somehow, some way, and I got to credit to, Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, of course, they find a way to exploit something that you have going in your defense, right? I don't think Isaiah Pacheco is going to be the one getting off in this one. If I had to bet, like you said, it's probably going to be Travis Kelce. If I want to go with a lock, I'm going to go Travis Kelce over 5.5 catches. Over 5.5 catches for Travis Kelce. Yeah, that's what I'm going to say. I mean, Zach Bond, I do see he's a first-ranked linebacker. Again, according to PFF here, he's going to have a lot of his opportunities to go up against Travis Kelce in coverage, but Kelce time and time again. And let me just say this. I tweeted this the other week, just last week, actually. The leadership on that team is where they stand out. That's where they make their money. That's where they get their rings from. There's guys like Travis Kelce, guys like Patrick Mahomes, guys like Chris Jones, right? Those are the guys who really rock over and over again. I remember last year I was watching the mic'd up from last year's Super Bowl. Travis Kelce is walking up and down the sideline after the touchdown scored, right? After the Chiefs scored a touchdown. He's punching everybody in the chest talking about more. I need more from you. You know what I mean? This guy is absolutely relentless. This team has been there. They've done that before. They're going for a three-peat. Like, it's just so hard to, even with them not technically being like the better roster, I would say, they have more experience in this moment, right? Travis Kelce has more experience in this moment. Like, he's not going to, not to throw shade at Mark Andrews, but he's not going to fumble up, an important 20-yard catch, right? He's not going to drop an important back of the end zone or 2-point conversion. I mean, we saw what he did in the AFC Championship game last year with Kyle Hamilton all over him. In the biggest moments, guy shows up. And that's why I say Travis Kelce, over 5.5 catches, absolute lock. Before we get into anything else, We do a chat donation. Let me go ahead and scroll down to DWAS in the house. What's going on, DWAS? Appreciate you for coming through. As always, he says, is Kelsey overrated? I mean, come on, man. I just got done talking about him. Absolutely not. He says he would be tight end 3 on the Ravens. This is troll here from DWAS. This is some
Yeah,
ultimate troll from DWAS.
DWAS, known Chiefs hater. As much as I want to say he
I love
is,
it
he's
though.
not. He's up there with your Gronks and your Gonzalez, maybe above one of them. But I'm not going to sit here and argue about GOAT tight ends. But he's definitely up there. Top 3 all time. Um,
Yeah.
very, very good. My only gripe, man, this guy does not get flagged for taunting. I don't know what it is. It just I lose my head over it. Like this guy is just it's obvious taunting, and they always come out. Oh, that should have been a flag. He's fined, dude. Get it right.
Fine
Get
him.
it
Yeah,
freaking
fine
right.
him.
Yeah, it's that is really what it eats me up inside because I saw it happen to us last year. The flopping, the acting. I mean, he has a career in Hollywood. I'll say it now. But with that being said, fantastic football player, fantastic tight end, top 3 tight end of all time. No, he's not overrated.
Yeah, absolutely not. Definitely not overrated. But we appreciate super chat donation, DWAS. Per
Yeah,
usual, man, you are the man. We appreciate you. Um, but yeah. So I mean, that's kind of the matchup between these two teams. Again, we've talked about it. Like it looks like not the Chiefs, but the Eagles have the better roster in this one. But in these big games, and I'm going to see it again this weekend.
yeah,
I think experience and just like kind of like that mentality, right? That relentless, ruthless mentality that the Chiefs have. And you think about it for the Kansas City Chiefs, and let me go ahead and take this off the screen here. For the Kansas City Chiefs, this is the start of their season, right?
mm-hmm.
This is where they've been expecting to be here. I said it before multiple times on the show. I felt like the Chiefs were in energy conservation mode all season long, right? They were waiting for this very moment to get back to this stage, and this is where they turn up. They show you why they are the dynasty that is the Kansas City Chiefs. And with that being said, Alex, let's go ahead and get into a score prediction here for this Super Bowl 59. Alex, who do you got winning, and what do you think the final score will be?
27-24 Chiefs. Typical Chiefs fashion, not scoring 30
Mm,
points, one possession win. There will be a controversial play we talk about all off season, and the conspiracies continue. Like I'm wearing a
mm.
Randall Cunningham jersey. I want them to win. I just don't think it happens.
You see, and I like that. I also think it's going to be a 3 point game, but I do think that it's going to be a little bit higher scoring. I'm going to go 31-28 Chiefs.
Okay,
I'm going to go 31-28 Chiefs. I do think that Saquon Barkley at some point in this game will start to get his, but I think that Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs offense, they will do what they need to do, drive the field, waste enough time, take enough time off of the clock, and to just kind of dwindle it down. And I think they win 31-28. It's going to be a good game. Again, last time these two teams played in the Super Bowl, I thought that Jalen Hurts actually outperformed Patrick Mahomes. I think he had more big time throws. I think he just straight up out him, right? But this Chiefs team, again, finding ways to win is what they do. That's championship football. They've done it all season long. I mean, how many games have they won by one possession? What, every single one, I want to say?
feels
I,
like
I
it.
want to say every single game. With the exception of like one, maybe two. What's the final that Texans game in the divisional round? I can't even remember.
It was one possession because that safety at the end. I'm pretty sure, like
Oh,
an
right,
8-point
right, right, right,
game.
right. Yeah,
I think
one
it was like eight and a half
possession
was the
there.
spread. Yeah,
Yeah, one possession game against the Bills. I'm pretty sure that was what, a 2 or 3 point game, something like that.
yeah,
Man,
yeah.
it's gonna come down to it. I think at the end of the day, refs aside, bad calls, controversial calls aside, the fans will win. If you're gonna watch this game, I think it'll be a good time. If you're going to a Super Bowl party, if you're hosting a Super Bowl party, I think you're gonna get your time and your worth in this one. Um, it's gonna be a good game. It sucks that our Ravens couldn't be in it. Again, like I led the episode with, it sucks that we kind of have to shoot ourselves in the foot so often here, because that's the only thing that's really stopping us from being in this big stage right here, and we're talking about us instead of the Chiefs. But yeah, going 20 for me, 27-24 for simply AS10 here. But we both think that the Chiefs are gonna go ahead and bring this one home. Let me see who else is in the chat here. Tanja Bowman in the house says, "Hey guys, what's going on, Tanja? Appreciate you for coming through." Tanja also says, "I expect an upset. The Eagles get a score. harass Mahomes with that defense, and the Eagles score enough to stop Mahomes' clutch Super Bowl plays and refs. I was watching the last Eagles Super Bowl win, where they
Mm-hmm.
played the Patriots, right?
Mm,
Back in, I want to say it was 2017.
it
And I
was.
was myself like, man, like, how sweet would it be if, the Chiefs are getting ready to come down and make a game winning drive once again, and Mahomes just gets strip sacked by Jalen
Oh,
Carter, by, I don't know, Jordan Davis. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, that would just be, oh my gosh, that would be beautiful. That'd be beautiful, honestly.
football would
I
win.
don't care about the narratives. Yeah, football would win. I don't care about the narratives of, oh, Jalen Hurts, better than. I don't care about none of that, man. I want the Chiefs to lose. Do I think that they're going to lose? No, I don't. But I want the Chiefs to lose this game. I really do. So I'll leave it
Yeah.
there for that. Dre says KC 29-27. Go ahead, though.
I will say one thing real quick.
Yeah.
I think the Chiefs winning harms football, harms the NFL, particularly. Like this is not trying to be a hater, but like when you sit back as a fan of the game, let's say you're a
Mhm.
new fan, you see a team has won 3 straight times in a row.
Yeah.
As a fan, what does that say to you? And I'll be honest, I watched a lot of college football this year. I liked how the
Okay.
playoff worked. I thought they have to make some tweaks, but I can see more fans, particularly in the South, because that is where college football is a lot bigger than I'll be here in Maryland. Like Maryland games don't get sold out unless a big team's coming here. I can see more fans in the South, going towards their local college, and maybe not saying they wouldn't watch
Yeah.
NFL, but invest more in a college. I'll be honest. Like that's how I feel. I thought college football really did themselves well this year. So yeah, that's just my final thing. Like Philly winning helps out the product compared to KC winning.
Yeah, because it promotes more parity, right? I mean, it makes it seem like, okay, because here's the thing: if the Chiefs go out there and they win, they three-peat, right? It's cool, the Swifties, everybody, all the new fans that are coming in on that front will be happy. But to the casual fan, I think that the regular season will start to feel a little bit more like the NBA regular season.
Mm-hmm.
Not
Mm-hmm.
the same, but it's just going to be like kind of like, okay, what are we doing here? We know how this thing is going to play out. By the end of the season, the Chiefs are going to be there. Who else? The Bills going to be up there. I mean, of course, the Eagles, maybe, I don't know, the 49ers bounce back next season. But you need another crown champion. You need another crown champion. Let's say, Alex, do you know who the last 5 Super Bowl winning quarterbacks are? Like, no repeats, but the last 5 Super Bowl winning quarterbacks are. Can you name?
Yeah, Mahomes, Stafford,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Brady. Um,
Mm-hmm.
2019 was Mahomes. 2018 was Brady. 2017 Nick Foles, Brady,
Yep.
Manning.
Yes, that is correct.
That
That's
felt
correct.
good. That
But
felt good.
yeah,
I'm not
yeah,
losing my
exactly.
memory.
But you have to go. You got to go all the way back to 2015. That's a
Right.
decade ago, right? To get
Right.
list those quarterbacks. There's been a lot of repeats, right? So you want to see a Jalen Hurts get mixed in there. You want to see maybe next year a Lamar Jackson, or hell, maybe even Josh Allen, just for the NFL's sake, right? For the NFL's sake, so people don't get bored with the product. I think that's really what it comes down to. The NFL is doing everything else in their power. I've heard they want to. I think Roger Goodell came out the other day and said eventually they're going to have an international team. We're going to expand the game in all these different ways to, make it seem like it's more competitive. That they're growing. What do you think about the whole international thing? I know you're a big soccer fan, the real ball, and like, what do you think about this NFL league growing outside of the United States?
It's so forced. I'll be honest with you. It is having a game in what? Melbourne. It's to me, it's
Yeah,
very, very forced. The London stuff is cool. Germany is cool, but like we saw Brazil. We saw that was a little human. How can I put this? There was a threat to humans there. You couldn't wear a certain color. Like that's not safe. You know what I mean? Both
right,
teams
right.
couldn't wear what? Green? One wore white, one wore black. Like they're not going to accept it no matter how hard you try. Unfortunately, they just don't like it. So it's cool to have a game over here and there, but it's just I'm not the biggest fan of it. I'll be honest with you, and I'm not a fan of adding a game either. I think it's to me the Ravens playing, let's say, the Rams every 4 years is cool because to the LA fans, like The Ravens fans in LA, like, you could go see them there, or the Ravens playing the
Yeah.
Cowboys. Like it happens every 4 years, and you're beginning more and more. It's oversaturation of the product, unfortunately, and I'm just not a big fan of that.
Yeah, and I can understand that too. I think from the NFL's point of view, from their perspective, they're thinking about, of course, the money. Right? The more you expand outside of the United States,
Yeah,
the more potential fans you can get watching the sport, the
yeah,
more kids you can get playing the sport overseas, and then ultimately that would lead to an international team being started, and who knows where the league could go from there. But
yeah,
neither here nor there. I mean, we're here still in America, mainly holding down with American football. And I think, again, to wrap this all up, I think it's going to be a great game this Sunday, the Super Bowl. The whole world will be watching. I mean, the Super Bowl is the only thing about American football that kind of goes global, right? Nobody really, yeah, a lot of international fans only really tune in for the Super
yeah,
Bowl. So, which is, again, we talked about it the other week. The Ravens were gaining a lot of international notoriety,
yeah,
leading up to the playoff loss against the Bills. And it would have been really, really cool to see Lamar Jackson and this Ravens team kind of stand on that big stage. And after that, I think that with an athlete like Lamar Jackson, I think it would kind of like that process. And,
hmm
kids overseas would be watching Lamar like run all over the field and do his thing. And they'd be like, oh, maybe I could play American football, if regular football doesn't work out. And that would be something that would be really cool to see. Another reason why the NFL needs a little bit more parity, especially in these Super Bowls. Again, last 10 years, only 5 different quarterbacks have won. And I think that needs to be a little bit more diverse, a little bit diverse.
yeah.
But we'll go ahead. We'll leave it there for this episode of the Purple Rain podcast. We're about over an hour in. Again, we want to thank each and every one of y'all for coming through to this episode. Still got 55 people watching. Hello. Thank y'all so much. Make sure you guys like the video before you get out of here. Subscribe to the channel as well. Like my guy Alex led the episode with, Manscaped is our sponsor. You can escape. Save yourself 20% off if you use our code PRP. You get 20% off plus the free international shipping. You can follow us on Instagram at the Purple Rain Podcast. Like this video, subscribe to the channel as well. You can follow me on Twitter or Instagram at Sutton Def. You can follow my guy over here, Simply as10, on Twitter at Simply as10. On Instagram at Simply as10.prod. Again, we love y'all. We thank y'all for a beautiful season. We got one more game left. We will be back on Monday to review that game. Maybe me and him are right. Maybe you took some of our bets, some of our locks from this one. Maybe you win yourself some money. Good luck to you. Hopefully it's a good game. But again, with that being said, I'm going to let Alex take us out.
Thank you for coming through episode 298 of the Purple Rain podcast. Like I said, we love you. We appreciate you. And as always, stay positive, test negative.
Yes, 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 yes. And never, ever, ever, ever forget, even on the rainiest of days, all gods. From episode 298 of PRP, we're going to catch you guys in the next one.